I wanna be the very best. No one.
Okay, we get it. Can't have that be the whole video. But this wasn't what you were expecting, huh? But as always, we take series that really should have nothing to do with D&D and we ask, what if they played D&D? I'm Metal Atlas, and that's right, this week it's Pokemon. We're going to do the original series here because the classic is what started it all, and trust me, we can make it silly enough. We're going to be looking at Ash, Misty, Brock, Jesse James, Meowth, and Pikachu. That's right, Pocket Monsters are going to play too. We're in for an interesting ride, so let's dive right in. I am old enough to say that I was born before Pokemon existed. Now, contrary to what Nintendo believes, they weren't the first ones to come up with the catching and taming monsters gimmick. I believe Dragon Quest has something to say about that, and even the Megami Tensei series predates Pokemon by about 9 years. However, it is hard to say that Pokemon series hasn't become one of the most well-known and accessible series out there. It's pretty approachable, pretty fun, and while a lot of things took inspiration from it, even if Nintendo seems to hate that exact thing. But I was there when the Dark Magic was written, and we could dive into what was so fun about this series, starting from where it all began. Now, as seems to be with all animes and games, they find a way to be completely separate. There's also a manga where, Jesus, that is incredibly realistic and dark. Anyways, we'll skip over that. The game continuity and the show continuity really don't match up all that well. You're not even the same character really, and while characters and Pokemon obviously remain the same, the way they're approached and how they behave is something else entirely. So for now, we're sticking with the show, which allows us to be, well, more silly overall. Ash Ketchum is a 10-year-old boy who lives in the world of Pokemon, fantastical creatures that exist everywhere and could kill you in an instant. At one time, there were regular cows and pigs and other animals, but at some point we decided those just weren't a thing, and we just have Miltanks and Lechonks. Apparently at 10, you're allowed to get your very own starter Pokemon, and just gallivant along the country doing whatever you want, because Pokemon are completely safe and can't and will never hurt you. So at age 10, he gets his starter, and happily, without any turmoil or strife whatsoever, starts his Pokemon journey. Along the way, he meets 2 gym leaders from the games who quit being gym leaders to hang out with our MC, and adventure together as he works to collect all of the badges, thwart Team Rocket, and join the Pokemon League, on his quest to be the very best, like no one ever was. Over the last 30 years, he's gone to every new region, competed in all kinds of leagues, and met so many people and legendary Pokemon, and this boy himself is a legend. But back where it all began, he was just an idiot 10-year-old boy. I'm not really sure how old he is by the end of his anime run. Let's see. I was afraid of this. He's still 10, defying all logic. He should be about 18 given how much he's done, but this boy has immortality. But at least at the very beginning it makes sense, and he doesn't know anything, and everything is just as new to him as it is to all of us. He's incredibly naive, and he's compassionate, though being so dense means he can be incredibly insensitive as well. He always gives it his all, puts his life on the line for his friends and his Pokemon, and isn't afraid to do what it takes to accomplish his goals. Throughout the series, he's had incredible feats of strength and willpower. I mean, here he is holding a Pokemon that weighs 200 pounds with one hand. Here he is holding his breath for like a million years. His willpower and determination allow him to defy all logic, and we really should be asking how we would build him in D&D instead of what he would play. But alas, you'll have to pester GMD for that. We're here to ask what he wants to be. But how are they even gonna play? It's not like he could be, say, tricked into playing, right? Well, actually, this boy could probably be tricked into eating a shoe. You know who likes to do incredibly obvious pranks and traps that always seem to work? That's right, Team Rocket! And they're gonna be the ones setting up our game. It doesn't matter what scheme they plan, our group will fall right for it. James could be standing outside in a trench coat opening up as they pass and be like, hey, kids wanna buy a Soul Rock? And our boy Ash would be so in. Their words are like gold to our MCs, and they just have to be like, try this new game where you can be a great hero! Even Pikachu could play, and they're all for trying new and fun things. Team Rocket would lead them into a dark but thematically lit room, complete with the kinds of props and effects that would make Critical Role look like some fan project in a basement. Their budget knows no bounds when it comes to trying to catch the rarest of Pokemon, because there's only one Ash's Pikachu. The gang would settle down at the table as Meowth spins around dramatically like Dr. No dressed as some sort of master wizard. Welcome, twerps! Brave new adventurers. The entire world lies before you, but your voyage will be dangerous, and if you succeed, you'll gain vast fortunes and fame. Let us talk about the characters you'd like to play. As we've already gone over Ash's whole thing, it's pretty easy to pick what he would be. Actually, I think this whole game was pretty straightforward. I got to sit down with Mr. Buddy to talk things over, and we were incredibly on the same page. If we're going mostly with standard D&D stuff, I think Ash as a knight or paladin works pretty well. I guess it's maybe the most boring choice for him, but in Pokemon he's a pretty straightforward character who wants to be a strong trainer, and I think that translates into D&D by being a pretty straightforward class. So Paladin for Ash. I think the Oath of Glory is as cut and dried as we can get. Strive to be known by glorious deeds, not words. Face hardships with courage, and encourage your allies to face them with you. You must marshal the discipline to overcome failings within yourself that threaten to dim the glory of you and your friends. These are the traits of the Oath of Glory, and they fit him and his relationship with his group to a T. I mean, at the end of the day, it was a show aimed at kids, and the power of friendship overcomes all, right? Jumping around a bit, I guess we'll do Pikachu next cause, well, he's Ash's best buddy. We could have made Ash a ranger, I guess, and had Pikachu control his animal companion, but that sounds like really uninteresting. So what can we make Pikachu play? Well, he's been around enough that he has his own development and traits, and I kinda see something for him. He's friendly to other Pokemon, but does have several rivalries. The biggest trait Pikachu has is that he's unrelenting. He doesn't back down and refuses to evolve, preferring to try and win everything in his current form. This was addressed super early in his battle with Lieutenant Surge's Raichu, and really any other Raichu that pops up. He constantly fights above his weight class and somehow makes it work, and refuses to give up. For him, I am thinking Barbarian. Pikachu wants to protect his friends, and I think being a class known for tanking and not taking any flack from anyone is perfect. He can hit hard, be hit harder, and still get up. And for that reason, we're going to go to the Barbarian. Obviously, Pikachu isn't fueled by anger, not like a certain Charizard, but we like to explore rages being fueled by other emotions, such as our Corrin build from Zenless Zone Zero using Panic as a source, or our Kaname Date from AI the Somnium Files build using Horniness. So Pikachu would most likely just use Determination or Duty to fuel his rage. For the subclass, I like Path of the Beast. We know Pikachu doesn't want to evolve, but I think that's because evolving changes their entire being. Pikachu does have a Gigantamax though, and honestly, I believe if any non-fully evolved Pokemon would get a Mega Evolution, it would be Pikachu. I think he would be plenty fine with Mega Evolving because it's temporary and really amplifies certain aspects of the Pokemon instead of outright changing them. I think Pikachu would really dig having new abilities and features because it would still be him with new tricks and not drastically change him forever. I know we're talking about his character he'd be playing, but if you yourself wouldn't want to be drastically changed, I think a lot of people would have a hard time playing a character that's really different from themselves. Obviously that's not like a rule or fact. I've seen plenty of people play characters that they would never want to be, but for a lot of us, we're projecting. I myself have a hard time playing something that isn't human or human adjacent. So our Pikachu, I feel like, would stick to his ideals and his character would reflect that. A little aside here, I know that you hear it all the time about liking and subscribing and all that. I'm sure you've also heard about the ad block issue and that people using it may not have their views count on the videos they watch, which has been affecting every creator. I'm not going to ask you to not use ad block. I get just wanting to watch what you watch in peace. But the commenting, liking, subbing, and all that goes a long way. And bearing with these sponsors as well. I know it can get annoying, but this is the most reliable way we have to keep bringing you stuff that you like and to help us continue to grow. We're incredibly grateful to World Anvil who keeps supporting us. Now you might ask, why should I be spending on money on something like this in this economy? Well, the holidays are coming up soon and everyone deserves to treat themselves. Obviously, if you like this kind of stuff, having extra tools like lock making, character vaults, and so much more could really help elevate your game or give you one easy place for all your thoughts and ideas. And GMG has always been focused on giving the audience the best deals we can give, and we have 51% off using our code. More than half off. You guys deserve the best of the best, and we always make sure to partner with people who have the most amazing kits and tools for you to take your game to the next level. If you're like our friend Mr. Buddy, and like to think about what other regions would be great for Pokemon, you can use World Anvil's campaign creator to do so much. You can map out the region, keep notes for what Pokemon would be where, and even create your own. There were so many options, even I got overwhelmed a bit with how much you can do. You can add in your plot hooks for your campaign, keep track of the PCs in your campaign, and their backstories, relevant things and news in your world, various maps and smaller regions, caves, points of interest, and more. You can keep track of factions, Cold World events, and much, much more really to flesh out your world in a way beyond your average game. If getting lost creating stuff in your world is your vibe, World Anvil is your place. That's code GMG for 51% off, and thanks to World Anvil and all of you guys for your continued support. And now back to our regular scheduled program. If you were a small child like I was when Pokemon first came out, Misty might be really the first girl you saw in media. Ironically, she's pretty different than a lot of anime girls you might run into. She's a bit of a tomboy, but she does have that balance between being graceful and getting angry and physical when she feels she needs to. She's the youngest of 4 sisters, and honestly that entire dynamic is why she is the way she is. She has to follow in their footsteps, and wants to, being graceful, flowing like water, but being the youngest typically means getting bullied a bunch and treated like a kid. Granted, she's also 10, though, let's be real, I feel like Japan just struggles with ages. They should probably be 14, which apparently Brock is, but none of these ages make sense if we're being completely honest. How many anime just have the girls in middle school? It just doesn't make sense, and that's one thing of Japanese culture I just don't understand. But she's the youngest, struggles with inferiority because of her sisters, and honestly, Ash is an idiot, and Brock is a skirt chaser, so she has her hands full all the time, and I'd be throwing hands if these were my closest friends too. When I asked Mr. Buddy, he had this to say. I feel like the urge right up front is to give Misty a barbarian or warrior because she's such a tomboy, but I actually think her being some kind of sea druid because of her close connection to water and nature would maybe fit better. Could have some cool storm sorcery and stuff, and I think it fits a bit better with her being more of a druid witch magic user. This makes sense for her character, especially because she doesn't see herself as brash or brutish, and gets incredibly offended if that's even suggested. She sees herself as feminine and graceful, and does have her girlish moments, like her incredible dislike for bug Pokemon. So, Sea Druid. Which is great, because 2024 has Circle of the Sea. It does in fact have storm-related things like Ice Storm. You can breathe underwater, and you can even walk around with an aura of ocean spray that you can just use to spray people in the face and make them take cold damage. You literally just get an ocean aura, and for a self-proclaimed water beauty, this just fits her self-personification incredibly well. We go from someone who was the youngest of 4 sisters to someone who is the oldest of 10 siblings. Brock is a cool dude who would be a great mentor and friend to anyone. He's incredibly mature and grown up, despite the fact that he's only 14, I think, when the show begins. He was in charge of taking care of his 9 younger siblings when his parents went off to do other things, which honestly is insane. He was balancing that and being a gym leader at 14 and younger. He's good with navigation, first aid, has all kinds of tools ready at his disposal, and is a really good cook. This guy is more accomplished at 14 than most of us are our whole lives. He does have one single caveat that I mentioned earlier. He's a skirt chaser for sure. Anytime he sees a pretty girl, he just loses all sense of reasoning, immediately declaring his love, even to the point where he would just up and abandon his friends to spend every waking moment with them. Seeing as this is a continuous gag, most women just get creeped out by him, though in a few circumstances where a woman actually pays attention to him, he just freezes up. Nobody can be perfect, and every character has to have a flaw, right? Mr. Buddy once again had the same thoughts I did. Brock is such an awesome character in Pokemon because he's super nice and knowledgeable and wants to be a Pokemon breeder and help heal Pokemon. He's like the Pokemon version of a support class, and I think he'd play a class in D&D that reflects that. Probably a cleric or healer, and supports Ash and Misty while they get super aggro and attack everything. Brock being a cleric just makes sense, and when I think of him as a cleric, this scene plays in my head for some reason.
Oh no, it's raining!
Hey, I know! I'll use my trusty frying pan as a drying pan!
Except that the frying pan is now going to be an implement of destruction like we're playing PUBG. Realistically, it would be a mace, but I really want him to use a frying pan for some reason, because he can bludgeon someone over the head, heal them, and then cook them a nice recovery meal using that same frying pan. I was torn between life domain and peace domain, but I feel like that while he knows first aid and stuff, he spends more time mediating and breaking up fights, refereeing, and guiding others, that he is more of a fit for the peace domain. I think we used this one from another character recently. I think maybe it was Kita from Bochi the Rock, but your very existence around people helps them heal, hit better, make saving throws better, or even teleport to each other and take hits for each other. This is just a really good support class, and it works well with teams that have strong bonds together. Jessie has a very similar personality to Misty, though don't tell either of them that. I'm pretty sure that's been referenced in the show too, but Jessie, despite being at least 17 and probably more likely in her 20s, has the same type of personality traits as Misty, though probably a bit more extreme. She's short-tempered, vain, and confident with her own self-image, and yells at her 2 partners, James and Meowth, whenever they mess up. She does have a caring side, though it takes a lot more effort for her to come out, unlike Misty, who could really bounce between her traits pretty quickly. Jessie has had a rough life, trying various things, even going to school to become a nurse, and graduated from said school, except the school was only for Pokemon who wanted to be nurses, so I'm not really sure how she managed that. She actually ends up being a successful Pokemon contest competitor, winning enough ribbons to take part in the Pokemon League versions of the contests. She even eventually gets promoted within Team Rocket, known for her stealth tactics and mission savvy. Mr. Buddy seemed to have a hard time with Jessie, but honestly still hits the nail on the head just with a general guess. I'm not sure for Jessie, maybe a rogue? Just for the sneaky nature of Team Rocket and their disguises. There's a reason I wanted to reach out to him for this, and he's been on the money every time. Jessie here will be a rogue, just because I think she'd continue doing what she knows best. I could see her playing a spellcaster class, but she really feels like someone who wants to just do things herself. I mean, obviously I could just go with the arcane trickster, but some reason combining them doesn't feel like either part is really her. So we're gonna go with the mastermind. Good with disguises, forgery, studying enemies, and can aid allies from far away, as well as just make someone else take attacks for her, which I feel like she would absolutely do. Since she ends up leading a team and actually doing her criminal job well, she clearly got the skills, and the Miss Mastermind is just a self-reflection. James is probably the most fun character of the show. He's cool, he's suave, he's incredibly silly, has the most range of emotion, and probably the deepest backstory and depth of character. He comes from a rich family, but as is the case with a lot of wealthy upbringing, his parents were pretty snobby and intent on marrying him off to a pretty abusive woman he grew up with. He cares deeply for his grandparents, and so much so that he's made sure to hide his criminal ways and even enlist the help of the 3 kids to keep his cover. He's shown to be willing to work with Ash and them when he needs to, and he has more of a moral boundary and code that he follows. He's great at disguises as well, even managing somehow to disguise as the opposite gender quite often. If you grew up with the dub like I did, you'll know his voice actor Eric Stewart, who also voiced Brock and is the voice for Seto Kaiba from Yu-Gi-Oh!, which is just another type of character entirely. Mr. Buddy agreed that James is an overall chill guy. I think James for sure would be a bard. He has the very glamorous, whimsical side to him, and bards can also do a lot of support, which would reflect James and how he's super nice and chill with his Pokemon and supports them very well. I think bard works very well, but we have to ask if that's what he would really want to play. He himself definitely exudes bard aura, and he's very over the top and really gets into his roles. And then there's also the argument for artificer, because he's the one to fix up all their contraptions and mechs and stuff. I don't think he'd be interested in fighter or barbarian. Warlock makes me think of being tied to someone. I'm not sure he'd want to be reminded of being tethered to something. He doesn't really feel like a scholarly wizard or a spell-slinging sorcerer either. Ranger might be something he'd have fun with, but honestly looking at all the other classes, I think Bard just allows him to showcase more of himself and really ham it up. Bards are known for being over the top and getting a lot of attention, and seeing as this is a game to trick Ash and his friends and steal their Pokemon, I think he'd really be hamming it up, trying to distract them. Trouble is, I think they would have so much fun with it they would actually forget that they're supposed to be criminals for a moment, and as everyone has so much fun because of Meowth, along with James set up the entire thing, it would make it an incredibly fun and interactive game. It would only be when at some point someone would realize that Meowth in disguise has been communicating with Pikachu perfectly, and we'd have ourselves a Persona 5 Akechi moment with the pancakes where the roost would be up and the entire room would turn into some sort of giant robot or tank or whatever nonsense, nabbing Pikachu and a few others. Game's gotta end sometime. No session 2. And that does it. We've managed to get through everyone, and I had a lot of fun writing it. Thanks to Mr. Buddy for sitting down with me and giving me his thoughts. I hope to keep coming up with several more of these and other silly parties, and I have ideas for several other videos and such. I just hope my motivation stays around this time. Anyways, thank you for all your support. Make sure to like and comment whatever you really want, what you think other Pokemon characters might play, and if you agree with my picks. That's all for today. I'm Metal Atlas, and I'll see you when I see you.